Hello, everybody. So I am here with Claire and Marie from the NLP4Kids office, and we have made a video. We're making this video for you today. Really for everyone who just couldn't be bothered to read the brochure, the very extensive, beautiful brochure that we've sent out to you, your prospectus. If you've not had a chance to read it, then this video will help to fill in some of those gaps. So they're going to ask me the kind of questions that you guys should really have been asking yourselves as you were going through that prospectus and making sure that we've covered all the main things. So I'm handing over to you to pick my brains about what it says in the prospectus.
Well, my first question is, what training options are there and what is the difference between them?
Okie dokie. So for NLP4Kids, you have 3 levels of training. I'll start at the top. So if you take the whole kit and caboodle, we refer to that one as our platinum level training. It includes NLP4Kids training. That qualification is so that you can offer one-to-one sessions to children and young people in both group and individual sessions, so one-to-one sessions. You then have NLP for parents and teachers training. That one's actually 2 certificates. So half is for NLP for parents, the other half is for NLP for teachers. Again, it's to be able to run one-to-one and group sessions with those demographics. And then the next one is hypnotherapy for kids training. With any of the NLP4Kids training programs, so if you took the platinum, you'd have all of those 3. If you took gold, you'd have NLP4Kids and NLP for parents and teachers. And if you took silver, you'd just have NLP4Kids. But with all 3 of them, you also get an additional qualification, which is called NLP practitioner training. This one's actually gifted to you from my other company, People Building. That one's also a franchise company. NLP practitioner is the sort of gold standard foundation level course in NLP. It's not children specific, but it will give you all of your NLP skills. So if you do the silver level training, the sort of foundation one, you'll be doing 2 courses. If you take our gold level training, you'll be doing 3 courses. So you'll be doing NLP practitioner, NLP for kids, and parents and teachers. And if you do the platinum level course, then you'll be doing 4 courses because you'll be doing your NLP practitioner, NLP for kids, parents and teachers, and hypnotherapy for kids. Okay. Was there another bit to your question? If I missed something there?
No, you got it. But my next question is, can I upgrade between them at a later date?
You can, yes. So just to mention at this stage the prices around each of them. So platinum level training is £15,000. Gold level training is 12,500, and NLP4Kids on its own is £10,000. Again, they've all got the practitioner course included with that. If you start out at the NLP4Kids level and you want to upgrade to parents and teachers at a later stage, you just pay the difference in price. So it'll be £2,500. If you didn't want to do parents and teachers, but you did want hypnotherapy for kids, you'd still upgrade to the £12,500 level. If you are gold and you want to upgrade to platinum at a later stage, so you've done kids, parents and teachers, and then later decide, now I want to add the hypnotherapy for kids into the mix, again, you're going to have a £2,500 to upgrade you to that next level. Makes sense?
Makes sense. And what are the options after training? Can I work with you?
You can, yes, please do. So you can either take your qualifications, skip off into the sunset, and completely do your own thing. That option, I'd say, is most viable for people who are maybe working in the education industry. You like your job, you don't want to leave it, but you want some extra skills. So then franchising is maybe not going to be for you because you've already got a job and you like it. Equally, if you are a qualified therapist, so you're already using these sorts of modalities, you want some extra tools to add to your toolbox, but you're established, so you're not looking to start up a franchise, then just take the training, do the qualifications, but you don't need that extra business support. For people, however, who are maybe making a complete change in career, or they maybe they've been, parenting and bringing up children, so they're starting a career really from scratch, or anyone who just really wants to have stuff already done. Like, the benefit of the franchise is it's kind of like a business in a box. Everything that you need is already in the box. We have the box. So basically, you do your training, and then if you decide, yep, I want to go ahead and take the franchise option, there are two licenses that we refer to. So you have the full license, which means that we do a lot of initial hand holding for you. That means that you go through mentoring, so mentoring with me personally, and then that's ongoing for the length of your license. On that full license agreement, you get better rates on things like referral fees when we refer clients to you, so you'll pay less commission for those. So the full license works really well for many people at the very outset. And you get your website and your email address and your initial marketing done for you, and lots of other bits and pieces, which is why you should read the brochure, because it's got the full list in there. With the lighter license, so that one is less expensive. So full license is £330 per month at the time of recording this video. The lighter license is less expensive, it's £150 per month, and it's a longer contract. Full license is 3 years, lighter license is 5 years. The main reason it's a longer contract is because you don't get the initial mentoring. You're doing a lot more of the initial graft yourself. All of the resources are still there for you. The stuff that I cover in mentoring is recorded into videos, but you have to take yourself through the process. You're not going to have me nagging at you every week to get stuff done. So it means for people on the lighter license, what we've seen historically is that there's a bit more of a build up. They might be a bit slower to get things going because they're having to work really independently, and it's all coming from their own self-motivation, which is fine for some people. Like, some people know they've got that drive, they can do it for themselves. But if they haven't got that drive and they've maybe taken the lighter license because they wanted a less expensive option, then they're just going to need a little bit more time for their business to build and grow. So that's why the contract's a little bit longer on that one. And those are your options for working with us going forward.
So thank you. That's all my questions. You answered the others in that as well. So
Thanks very much.
Hi, Gemma. The training's quite short. Is it enough?
Good question. So the actual showing up to the live portion of the training is short. So it's delivered in an accelerated learning format. The NLP practitioner course, which is the gifted one from People Building, is 7 days. And the NLP4Kids courses, of which there are 3 of them, silver, gold, platinum, kids, parents and teachers, hypnotherapy for kids, each of those are 4 days in length. However, you do have a significant amount of pre-course study to do before you attend the live training. So the way that that's formatted, we send you out a huge chunky manual in the post. That's got a USB, which has got some videos on there that you need to watch, some of which are of the training that you're actually going to be attending, and some of which are of the modalities being put into action with children and young people. You also have some audios to listen to that are on that USB as well. In addition to that, you have our online training platform. Now, this is the place where you're going to really get into finer detail around the specific techniques and strategies that we use with young people. We cover why you use them, when you use them, how you use them, and what happens if you use them and it doesn't quite go according to plan. Because when you work with kids, it doesn't always quite go according to plan. So you do need to sort of have an air of flexibility about you. So you watch demonstration videos of the techniques and strategies. Then you're going to go through an assessment process. It's all built into the online platform. And the assessments are going to ask you questions about the demonstrations that you've watched, listened to, etc. Some of them will be multiple choice. Some of them will be long form answers. With NLP4Kids silver level training, you have, I think, is it 21 assessments to do? Something like that. NLP practitioner, you've got 20 to do. Parents and teachers, I think there's 20. Hypnotherapy for kids, there's another 20. So you've got a significant number of assessments. An assessment might be one question, it might be 10 questions. And as I say, it might be quick or it might be quite long in terms of the degree of time and effort that you need to put into getting the assessment completed. When it comes to the actual live training day, so the training takes place on Zoom, so it's live, but it is also online. The purpose of our training sessions is for you to actually start to practice with other people on the training at being both a client, so on the receiving end of these strategies, and also as a practitioner, so that you get to practice actually doing the stuff. And if we have multiples of 3 on the training, then you'll also go into the observer role as well. So you get to see other people practicing and giving some feedback. When you come onto the training, very often there are trainees who attend who are already qualified practitioners with us. Our practitioners have to retrain every 3 years, so it's really unusual for the training you come on to consist wholly of brand new practitioners. There's usually going to be some people there that have been licensed for 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, 12 years, etc. So they're coming back to do their sort of 3-yearly retraining that they do with us. So you get some really comprehensive, not just insight into what it's like to be a practitioner and running the business, but you'll get some really comprehensive support as you're practicing these techniques and strategies on the live training. In the morning, you'll be re-watching the demonstration videos of the techniques that you'll be practicing with in the afternoon. It's quite prescriptive. We know what we're covering every single day of the training, so you will know which videos you need to be re-watching in the morning, ready to come onto the live training and actually put it into action and practice this stuff whilst you are there. So although the training, like the number of days on the training that you attend, is short, you've done like a whole backstory before you come onto that live training. For that reason, we recommend that you begin your pre-course study at least 3 months before the live training begins, so that you give yourself adequate time to go through the material and go through the material and go through the material again, so that you've got it fully embedded, ready to put it into practice when you come to the live training sessions. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. Is there any additional training after we do that course? Is there anything that we can get us help to continue to improve our NLP skills or continue
Yes.
to improve our knowledge around mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do practice groups with our practitioners. Those are free to attend. They're typically run by other practitioners on the team who have been with us for a significant period of time. We don't technically give them the title of senior practitioners, but we could, because that would probably be quite fitting. So they'll pick a specific technique that they want to cover, or that someone's expressed would be really valuable for them to cover. And so that's where you'll practice your actual techniques and strategies in that client practitioner scenario, just like you did on the training. In addition, for all of the franchise team, so practice groups are available for everybody. You don't have to be a franchisee with us in order to come to our practice groups. If you're a franchisee, you also get monthly mentoring with me, regardless of which license you're on. And we go through a case study. And on the case study, it will be a child that's, or a family that's experiencing a challenge. You're going to work with the other practitioners that come to the CPD session, and you're going to discuss which strategies and techniques would be advisable to use in a case like that. If it's based on a real life one, I'll tell you what stuff I actually did use and what the results of it was. But sometimes it's a hypothetical one. Sometimes it's a case study where one of our practitioners has come to me and said, I need some ideas. Can we cover this when we do our webinar on Monday? And so, you know, we won't know yet what the outcome's going to be, but it just gives that practitioner some ideas to go off and utilize with their client. So those I would say are the main things. Practice group, monthly webinar. We do a get together usually every 6 months in real life. We see each other in the flesh, and in those sessions, so that's a whole day that we spend together. In the morning, we'll go through a couple of case studies. We might zone in on a specific mental health subject area that's really, I don't know, pivotal at that moment in time. It's something we're all seeing a lot of. And so we'll talk about the different strategies that we've found useful and viable for tackling that problem. And then in the afternoon, we usually have a speaker that comes along to talk about a specific topic and to give us some additional training. So we did one where we had a Tourette's charity that was there and they gave us some training around Tourette's. We did one around disc profiling, which is a type of personality profiling. So we've had different speakers that have come along and offered us different training in those afternoon sessions. So yeah, there's loads of retraining stuff.
Excellent. NLP's unregulated to other, like unlike other forms of therapy. Would that affect getting clients in through the door, or would that have an effect on my business?
It depends what your clients are looking for, and if you're putting yourself in front of the clients that are looking for what you're offering. So if you're looking at clients who specifically want counseling, or maybe they need something that's quite poignant at the moment, is families that are looking for ADHD diagnosis or ASD diagnosis. You're not going to get those clients because excuse me, you won't be able to offer diagnosis. That's going to be a clinical psychologist, educational psychologist, etc. You're not going to be picking up that kind of work because that's just not what you offer. Now, that being said, once someone's been through the process of diagnosis and they know what the challenge is, then the family might start thinking, well, now we need to know what we're going to do about it. Now we need some strategies. Now we need something to help guide us through specific issues that the child is experiencing that they really want to get on top of. That's where you might come into the mix. So the reason why people may choose NLP over, let's say, counseling, CBT, psychotherapy, which are, kind of on the fringes of what we do, might be because of waiting list issues. So if they're referred via CAMS, for example, to one of these services, they might face a 6-month, even longer, wait before they get to see someone. So, people sometimes want to skip the waiting lists. We're much more timely than these other services. Sometimes people will come to us because they've received those other services and it didn't work. It didn't work because it wasn't the right fit for their child, and now there's nothing else available to them. It might not have worked because the service didn't last for long enough, so they've exceeded the number of sessions that they were allocated. It might not have worked for them because, counseling just doesn't work for everybody. CBT just doesn't work for everybody. Like, we're all slightly different. So other people need other things. So we fall into the bracket of alternative. We're an alternative health solution for people. And some people just need an alternative because the mainstream stuff isn't quite the right fit for them. The other thing that I found, the other place, I guess, where reason why my clients might come to me is because their parents have had a good experience with NLP. And more so now than ever before, they know someone who's had a good experience with NLP4Kids. And so they will choose us because they've heard good things. They know it can work. And maybe they don't want something quite so, what's the right word for it? Maybe there is a little bit of a stigma, a medicalization. It seems like the problem's more serious if you're going to counseling. If it's been mandated by your doctor to have CBT, I guess for some parents, that might feel like, oh no, this is actually a really big problem, and now my child's going to think it's a really big problem, and that anxiety is going to be a lot worse because they're going to think there's something really wrong with them. Whereas if they say, we're going to go and see a coach, we're going to go and see someone, it's a bit like a therapy. She's called Gemma, and we're going to go and talk to her about these worries that you've got, or we're going to go and talk about this habit that you've got. We're going to see if she can teach you some stuff to help you. So the whole thing gets propositioned in a different way, and it feels lighter, and it makes the problem feel easier to resolve. And I think maybe that appeals to some people as well, because they don't want to go down that route of making a problem seem bigger and scarier than it really is by having bigger, scarier solutions to the problem. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I think anyway.
No, thank you. And what do your licensed NLP for kids practitioners charge per session with a child? And is there a limitation to how much you can charge, or how little, or
Mm.
what way is that set?
So the range is somewhere between £75,000, £75,000, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? £75 per session, up to £250 per session. So I think the average that we charge sort of across the board as a company per session is around £125 per session. So the people that are on the lower end of the charging scale, more like the £75 a session, are practitioners who are typically newer. And so they're just not so well established in their business just yet. They might be specifically focused on a geographical region that is less affluent, which may or may not be where they live. And so that will dictate what they can charge. And then the practitioners that are charging more, so they're up towards that £200 per session, £250 per session mark, are practitioners who have typically been doing this a long time, got all the skills under the rainbow under their belt. So they've probably done the platinum level training, which has given them a bit more confidence in being able to do more, charge more, etc. They are possibly targeting more affluent areas, more affluent families. So they're working with clients that can afford to pay it. So they're more comfortable to charge that. And honestly, they've probably just got a little bit more confidence about them. I think that's a really key thing as well.
Okay, thank you. Um, is there work in this field available in my area, and what market research could I be doing at the moment?
Yes, so there might be. Without knowing your area and doing some research, it's difficult to say. So typically speaking, what I would do if I'm going to do a market research review for you, which I usually do a quick little video and then ping it over so that you can see what I'm doing and what I'm looking at. I will look into things like, what is the population size for the area that you want to focus on? If it's over sort of 100,000 people, then that tells me, typically that's a good number of people. I'll look at the house prices and see, and I'm always comparing it to where I am, because I'm aware that I'm not in the most affluent area. It's got a fairly decent population size. And the house prices are becoming more expensive because everyone from London seems to be fleeing here. But it's definitely, not as expensive as London, for example. So I'll use my area as a bit of a benchmark because I'm the most expensive practitioner, and people from here and near to here will come to see me. Although probably more so from credibility than from convenience. It's not because I'm up the road. That's not why they're coming. What else do I look at? I look at the number of other sorts of therapists in and around the area. Like, does it seem to be an area where they're quite mindful of mental health, and are there other practitioners set up? That can typically be a good sign. People get really freaked out and are a bit like, oh no, there's loads of competition. But the reality is that it just means that you're in an area where people are a bit more mental health savvy, and people have been able to set up businesses there. In Bath, I think it must be, we've got Heidi and amber are on the same street. They're at like opposite ends of the high street in the city, and it works really well because they've both got their separate niches. They've got specific things that they're each focusing on, but they're benefiting from each other's advertising. So it's a bit like when you end up with 100 Costa coffees all on the same high street. It's that sort of phenomena that happens when you've got a good few people all clustered together. It brings the word up. So yeah, I look at the number of other practitioners that might be around in the area. I'll look at the number of schools. So how many primary schools are there? That's a good indicator as to whether the population is increasing. And typically that happens via people having children. So that's another nice indicator to look at as well. And sometimes I'll look at local news for the area as well, just to sort of see if there's any trends in mental health that are happening in a specific area, because you do sometimes get trends is an uncomfortable word to use around mental health, but it's true that you might have a sort of flurry of self-harming in a specific area. You might have a flurry of sort of antisocial behavior type stuff that's going on. So looking at those sorts of trends can be quite useful too.
Excellent, thank you. And when starting to trade as an NLP for Kids licensed practitioner, how soon could I see my return of investment?
So you'll get initial marketing done by us, regardless of the license that you're on. And that's for the first 3 months, where our goal is to make sure that you have at least 5 client consultations within those first 3 months of working with us. Not all 5 of those will convert into paid sessions unless you are like really, really good at this from the outset. But most people, are still sort of fine tuning their skills at converting people. We do give you all the scripts that you need, all the text messages, all the follow-up emails, all of the booking system. All of that is already done for you. That being said, when you're actually there in front of someone and going through a consultation, it does take a little bit of practice and rehearsal to get really good at then transitioning that person into a paid session. So I'd expect that you're going to get out of your 5, maybe 3 that convert into paid sessions in those first few months. Now, the reason, or part of the reason why we do that initial marketing, is so that we can set up an entire marketing campaign that allows us to do some further research into what it might cost per lead to bring inquiries in for you. And once that's done and we know what the results of that look like, you'll then have the option to take that over and do it yourself. You can pay us to keep doing it for you, or you can work with the person that we work with who built the whole system directly, and have like full control over it 100% yourself. So you'll have a few options about how to keep that marketing going. There's also the option to just not do that and do something completely different. But obviously, if we've built something and it's working well for you, it's a good idea to keep it going. So yes, you've basically got that period of time, almost a bit of grace period, where you know that there's work coming to you, and you don't have to be sort of scrambling around to do that at the same time. You can focus on building your website. You can focus on developing your social media. All of your social media posts are written for you for the year. So you don't even need to do that stuff. You just need to send it out to your social media database that you'll start building. You can focus on starting to develop newsletters and things like that. Again, we show you what customer management systems you use to manage all of those things. And it just gives you that window of opportunity to start focusing on what you're going to do on your side once that initial kickstart that we've given you has come to an end. You can decide how you want to move forward from there, and how many clients you want to be seeing. If you want to take a bit of a breather because it's got too busy, then that's absolutely fine as well. I can't remember what your question was. What was your question?
How soon could I see
Oh yeah,
my
return
return?
on investment. How soon can you see a return on investment? Well, within your first 3 months, you're going to start getting some return on investment. And depending on whether you've gone silver, gold, or platinum obviously depends on, that's going to dictate what your investment has been. Are you going to get back your full £15,000 in the first 3 months? It's unlikely. That being said, there is the story of one of our practitioners, Michelle, who, I don't know, how long had Michelle been with us before I sent her to Saudi Arabia? Like 4 months, something like that, maybe. And she went off and earned thousands and thousands of pounds working for a high net worth family for a month, delivering NLP for kids strategies for a month. And so, yeah, I mean, never say never, because I'm pretty sure Michelle made back almost her entire investment within the first few months of having done the training. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen for everybody, although there are quite a lot of rich families in Saudi Arabia, so who knows. But yeah, certainly as you come towards your first year in business, you should be at a stage by then where you can say, yeah, actually, I've got back my return on investment. It's going to be dictated, though, by how many hours are you putting in and what are you charging per session, right? Because if you're giving me 5 days a week doing this and you're all guns blazing, you're going to make your return on investment back maybe in the first 6 months. If you're doing this one afternoon a week, please don't. But if you were doing one afternoon a week and it gets to the end of the year and you've still not made back your return on investment, we know why. It's not because the process didn't work, it's because you didn't give it everything that it needed to be able to replenish you in that way. So for that reason, we do go through a process. When you first come to a discovery call, that's where we're kind of checking in to make sure that you're in the right place at the right time for moving ahead with doing this. Strategy 1 call, we go through like the format of the training, which I discussed a little bit earlier, and we also show you the online training platforms, all of that jazz. Strategy 2, we go through what we call our profit planner. So this is a customized Excel spreadsheet. It's already got all of our costings built into it, except the license fees, because we don't know which one you're going to choose. So lighter, full, none, we don't know. So you do need to keep that in mind. And it's also got suggestions around what you can charge per session. It's got suggestions around how many people you might get onto a workshop, how many hours you might do in schools, etc. So you can then think about, what hours have I got? What kind of work do I want to be doing? What am I comfortable charging? And then it will output, because it is all formularized already, it's going to output what your monthly take home is going to be after your costs, with all of your schoolwork prorated, because you're not in school for 52 weeks of the year, you're only in school for 30 weeks of the year. So it's all divided up over the course of the year so that you know what your realistic monthly take home could look like. If you want to know when am I going to get my return on investment by, you need to attend strategy call 2 and do that profit planner with Marie, who's sat here nodding right now, and she will tell you this is how quickly you're going to get your return on investment by, assuming that you stick to what you're saying in this planner. Now, of course, it's going to be fluid. You'll get going. You'll realize there's bits of the work that you like, bits of the work that you don't want to do so much of, more of this, less of that, prices up here, etc., all of that stuff. So that, it will keep evolving and changing over time, but it's a really good indicator as to what your progress could look like, assuming that you do something that looks like what you've told us you're going to do when you go through that profit planner with us.
Okay. Brilliant. And just lastly, because we've touched on a few things very lightly, what is the different areas of work that a licensed NLP4Kids practitioner can be doing?
So you've got one-to-one sessions with children, parents, coaching sessions for teachers. So that's one-to-one sessions for teachers. You've got group workshops for children in your local community, in schools. You've got group sessions that you can be doing with parents in your local community or via a school or a charity or other institution. You've got group sessions that you can be delivering for parents in your local community. So they haven't come to you via the school, they've come to you via independent marketing that they've seen. Or you can work with teachers in group sessions in a school. All of your one-to-ones and group sessions can take place live or they can take place online. So all of what I've just said, you can double it because you've got the live or the online version of it. I think that's everything.
Okay. And is there opportunities as a licensed NLP4Kids practitioner to work with other maybe local mental health centres, charitable organisations?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we've worked with other organisations in the past, such as YMCA. We've done some work with them. We've done work with our own local council. Other practitioners have worked with local councils in different areas. We did some work with a health charity up in Manchester for children who had narcolepsy. We had we've done some work with Lloyd's with their education team. So Lloyd's was sort of the main banking provider for academy schools in the UK. I don't know if they still are, but they were at one point in time. So yeah, Parent Pay, which is a bit like PayPal but for schools. So we've done work with them in the past. So yeah, there's been lots of sort of cross-pollination opportunities that have cropped up over the years. We also have a non-profit company which is called Superheroes. So there are times when we have funding that comes into Superheroes that can be used to help out NLP4Kids clients who maybe don't have the funds to be able to pay the practitioner. And then this ensures that the practitioner still gets paid, the family still receives the support that they needed, and the money's coming from our non-profit where we did sort of separate fundraising efforts over there. And yeah, that works really well as a sort of backup support system from a charitable perspective as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's it for today.
All right, thank you so much.